Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with Iraq Veteran 8888, and today we've got another Gun Gripe episode for you. And this is sort of, I guess, you can pretty much consider it a gripe, but we're going to be talking a little bit about black powder season. Right now we're right in the middle of black powder season for hunting purposes here in Georgia. I know that those rules and regs and when the seasons are different for everybody in each state. So always make sure you refer to your local regs and everything in terms of what is considered a black powder rifle, what's considered a front stuffer. But I want to elaborate a little bit on it because black powder season's always been kind of a special time of year for me. I really, really enjoy using black powder to hunt. And a lot of black powder firearms that I use to hunt are very, very old, usually well over 100 years old. And there's a little bit of hypocrisy I want to discuss, and there's some positive things we want to discuss, but there are commonly some things that you run into with black powder season. I know, like, for one, the regs here are a little weird.
A little weird is an understatement.
I mean, in a way, so, like, I can understand, okay, like, they don't want just anybody going out there with whatever, I don't know, but, like, you would think that, like this old Snyder right here, even though it's a cartridge gun, it's not a muzzleloader, you certainly would think that that's about as black powder as it gets, right?
Well, the thing is, it was converted from, old Springfields, is that correct?
I'm sorry,
Enfields. Sorry,
yeah.
Enfields, listen to me, I'm not the black powder guru.
P53 conversion.
P53s. So it's got a breech block on there that flips out. It's a cartridge-contained 577 Snyder.
Right.
It's black powder only.
Right.
But that, in the eyes of Georgia, is a firearm.
It's illegal to hunt deer during black powder season with it. Now, this is not just a stink fest when it comes to, like, complaining about things in its entirety, however. I have talked a lot with some of the local DNR guys and posed questions to them, like, okay, well, is it just the priming system that matters? I mean, so if you look at the regs, it mentions that you can't use something with a centerfire primer. That's something that they specifically mention. Well, is a 209 primer a centerfire primer? It is, right? So all these companies make these inline muzzle loaders, and I guess that's kind of a crux of the gripe as well.
That's a gripe in itself.
It is a little bit of a gripe. I mean, don't get me wrong. Inline muzzle loaders are cool. They're accurate. Some guys want to run the pellets and the power belted bullets and all these modern bullets and an inline muzzle loader, and they want to have a special scope where they can dope out a 200 or 300 yard shot with a muzzle loader. That's cool. You want to be able to do that. I mean, there are muzzle loaders that are capable of delivering the goods at 300 yards that are modern muzzle loaders. Mm-hmm. But I think people always want to look for a workaround, and they're not so quick to just let the season be what it is, and that's primitive weapons. A muzzle loader that can kill a deer at 300 yards with a modern optic, modern priming system, that really primitive?
Yeah, I mean, the compressed powders, the powder pellets. I mean, it's like, oh, well, you need, what are they, 50 grains equivalent a piece? So if you want to run a 100 grain load, you drop 2 pellets in there. You're not carrying around real black powder with you. It's not real black powder. I mean, for all intents and purposes, the thing is a cartridge gun without a cartridge. And like Eric said,
it's still a centerfire primer.
It is, but they're modern guns, and they've got all the modern amenities that you would need to take a long, humane shot. But is it a primitive weapon? They're classified under primitive weapons. No, absolutely it is not.
Is it really a challenge? I mean, so that gun is a primitive weapon, but my Snyder that is 135 years old, you can't use that.
Well, also, too, the projectiles. Copper-jacketed projectiles,
right.
Tipped projectiles with really nice high BCs,
right?
Good flat trajectories,
right? Compared
to a cast lead pill.
Right. Now, we're not saying that if that's the way you want to hunt black powder, don't do it. Of course, look, if that's what if buying a modern inline muzzleloader is what it takes for somebody to get out and hunt during black powder season, that's a start. Mm-hmm. But man, I honestly feel like a lot of the regs, not only in Georgia but all around the country, are really unfair. And you would think that, maybe if primitive weapons is what this whole dig is all about, and you see that the industry tries to really go out of their way to find some workaround, right? Mm-hmm. There's always some workaround. And inline muzzleloader is the answer to the guy that doesn't really want to hunt with muzzleloader. That doesn't really want to be a black powder hunter, but they want to get that extra week of rifle season. And I'm not saying that that's a problem. It's okay. It's within the bounds of what's legal.
Well,
but my question would be, why can't the regs just say, all right, if a gun is over a certain age, it's legal to use for primitive hunting? So is it really primitive hunting that they're going after, or is it just some itch that they're trying to scratch to make a buck?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, you look at the guys who are running like crossbows. You know, you can use a crossbow during archery season. And, you know, crossbows and like crossbow uppers for ARs, they have way more power than most compound bows do.
And they're awesome.
You know, and they are really, really freaking cool. And you can put a freaking ACOG on top of it that has archery, like an archery BDC, you know, for certain velocity ranges.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, you know, that's about as modern as it gets. But you can use that during archery season. So why can't you use a cartridge-contained black powder rifle that is over 100 years old during black powder season?
It's dumb. But is that the gateway drug? Is that crossbow upper or that inline muzzle loader, is that the gateway drug to somebody going, all right, well, this is cool. I enjoy black powder hunting, but I want to take it to the next level. You know, maybe a guy gets behind a crossbow upper and then goes, all right, well, that's cool. Mm-hmm. Maybe try a recurve bow now. Mm-hmm. Or if you're like Scott with Whack Outdoors, you know, he throws atlatls, he shoots recurves. I mean, he kills deer with spears, mm-hmm. guys. Okay, so I guess it depends on a level of challenge that you want. I mean, we recently went on a black powder hunt, and we've actually been actively black powder hunting with Norwegian camelot. It was made in 1857. It is a muzzleloader. Now,
no, it's not.
I want to get
load it from
look. I want to get back to some of the conversations that I had with DNR here in Georgia, and you know, and I'm asking some hard questions. Like, look, guys, if it's a priming system thing, okay. If an inline muzzleloader, and again, I posed the question, an inline muzzleloader uses a center fire primer. Mm-hmm. Okay, it says no center fire primers. So I asked DNR, I'm like, hey, so what if I have a Sharps carbine, slant breech, and it uses a paper cartridge mm-hmm. and a percussion cap? It loads from the breech, doesn't load down the muzzle. Is that legal for black powder hunting for muzzleloader season?
Is it?
He's like, well, that's a gray area. That was his exact words. He's like, if it uses, and his words were, if it uses a percussion cap, it's fine. As long as this system uses a percussion cap.
Yeah, but inlines use a 509.
But inlines use a 509 or a 209 primer.
Or 209, sorry.
So it's just this hypocrisy. And then, you know, and the thing is too, when you're talking about some of these odd transitional guns like these, it's also a matter of, you would think that the regs would be along the lines of, all right, a gun over a certain age may be used regardless of the system in which it employs, as long as the system is originally black powder. How hard would that be?
Honestly.
So that people can use original 4570 trapdoors, they can use Snyders, Martini Henrys. To me, that just makes sense. But why not do that?
I mean,
it's just dumb.
I don't know. Like, I don't even own listen to me, I'm going to say this on camera. I don't even own a black powder rifle.
You got a Martini.
Well, I got a Martini, but it's cartridge contained. I don't have a muzzleloader.
Right.
You know, I don't have a muzzleloader. My dad's got a CVA that we shot forever ago. That was one of the first few videos we ever did. It's like a little 40 cal CVA. But that's not one that I would really ever take hunting. But, you know, my thing is the challenge of black powder hunting is certainly there. You're talking single shot, you got to make that shot count. You got to know exactly where that rifle is hitting.
Sure.
You know, and like in Eric's case, you know, he had to make a custom sight with a camelot to get that thing to shoot where he needed it to at close range, because this is not, you know, more than like a 150-yard gun, and that's in good light. You know, when you're getting down around dusk and you're losing light, that front sight starts to disappear. You're talking taking a 50, 60-yard shot max.
Maybe. And I made the mistake of doing that the other day. I shot right over a deer's back at longer range because my sight picture, I just couldn't get it consistent enough in the lower light. Now, if I had an inline muzzleloader with a modern optic, like, you know, you get a modern Leupold optic that gathers light really well, I could have totally made that shot without even trying.
Yeah, but, you know, the thing with the camelot is it loads from a rotating breech. The cap goes on the nipple on the bottom.
It's still front stuffing,
It's still front stuffs, though. But, you know, Eric has little glass vials with pre-measured charge weights in it with real black powder.
Right.
Real black powder. Dumps that in there, puts a little fiber wad on there, and then a little paper patch, and then drops a bullet in there and then pushes it in. Easy peasy.
From everything that I've been able to get at as an indicator from various DNR folks that I've talked to, is that as long as the weapon in question has to be physically loaded and manipulated after each shot and uses a percussion cap, you're good. So, for instance, a good example was the Gallagher carbine. Have you guys ever heard of the Gallagher? The Gallagher uses a little lever, it pulls down, and the gun breeches open, and it uses this weird little... originally, I think, used some form of like a copper foil
Kind of
thing
like the
or something.
original Martini cases, yeah.
Well, yeah, or like the Maynard carbine. So a lot of these odd transitional guns that, especially Civil War era guns, use some form of an odd intermediate case. It's not quite a brass cartridge with a center fire primer, but it is a cartridge contained black powder charge with a projectile, and you seat it into the rear of the gun, you close it, and you recap it, and you shoot it. You still have to physically manipulate the gun each shot to get off a shot. And from everything that every indication, every single DNR person I've asked, they said that is completely fine. So where do you blur the lines? If the guys that are able to run inlines are able to use a center fire primer and basically what the equivalent of essentially a modern gun, then how far down the rabbit hole can guys like us go who are wanting to use vintage pieces? And I'm literally using guns that are over 100 years old, that are antiques, that are primitive. How far can guys like me go down the rabbit hole and not get in trouble over, it's technically reach level?
Well, Ray is putting an optic on your Whitworth, so.
But it doesn't say it can't be scoped.
Exactly.
And it is now that's a great thing that you bring up. I do have a Pedersoli Whitworth that is a modern front stuffer. It is a copy of the original style of Whitworth rifle, and we are putting a Malcolm optic on it. And yeah, we may do some long range deer hunting with it. So is that cheating? It's black powder. I mean, we use real deal Swiss powder in it.
Look, there's another part of this gripe too. There's another part of this gripe too that we haven't even gotten to, and that's people using the in-crate rifles outside of the proper time during the season. Yeah. Randy was out here the other day, and it's like literally the first day or two of black powder season.
Like I literally went to get in the stand that morning, and she was out front with the dogs.
And then what do you hear in the woods? Like, that's not a black powder rifle. Somebody's out there hunting with a freaking high-powered rifle.
Right.
Come on.
So then you have the people who can't even have no honor whatsoever, and it's like, rules, whatever.
Either that, or they're just ignorant to the regs.
Or they're ignorant. They think, today's opening day of black powder. People are going to be shooting guns all around me. Well, I'm just going to use Papa's old 30-06, and that's going to be the end of it. Those folks really grind my gears because
well, like the guys that,
it's cheating, guys. Come on.
The guys that, shoot deer out of their window with a 1911 or some crap, in their backyard. I mean, come on. Is that really sporting?
It gives us all a bad name, guys. I mean, the whole point of archery, primitive, and then getting into modern rifle season is it's a step up of challenge level, guys. It's challenging to get in the woods and take a deer with a bow. It's challenging to get out there and use a camelot or an old school gun that's real deal black powder, percussion cap, the whole 9 yards, and something that you have to work to get that deer in close, or you got to be sneaky and sneak up on the deer. It's fair chase, guys. It's to give the deer a chance. You know what I mean? Like it is to challenge you. That is the point. And if you go, it's primitive weapon season, well, let me grab Grandpa's old 30-30 and go kill a deer. Come on, guys. You're really giving hunters a bad name when you do that. And it's also really unfair to the guys who are trying to do things by the book and trying to be honest and do things right. And all this is in the name of wanting to do the right thing, right? I mean, why would hunters like ourselves, why would we be concerned about regs, what's right, what's wrong, what makes sense, what doesn't, if we weren't trying to do the right thing and it wasn't done in the spirit of being sportsmen and being and having that idea of fair chase?
Well, the idea of the early season for archery and for black powder is because the opening day of true rifle season,
it's a free-for-all.
Every Bubba's going to be out there and stuff, and they're going to be in the stands. They're going to be walking through the woods. I mean, it's going to be guns a-blazing.
They'll kill everything that's brown opening day.
I've seen people harvest some deer that were
dogs,
extremely questionable. Come on,
the size of dogs.
Come on.
I've seen people kill fawns, just to do it.
I know, they might have one spot left on or something like that. I mean, literally, it might be a 50-pound deer. Come on, you're not going to get anything off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, at least kill a big old doe or, at least an 8-point buck. Anything below 8, just let the dang thing walk. Let it grow.
The only exception I'll make to that is if it's a big spike, like if a spike has a large body
and like
you can tell
that tall,
and you can tell that spike is an older deer, and he's got 12, 14-inch tall tines, and
get him out of the gene pool right now, boy.
I'll take one for the team, and I will kill a spike.
Oh man, you just killed that spike, and you just take that there hacksaw and you cut that thing off, and you mark it as a doe.
That might be the same guy that's hunting with a standard rifle. All right, so the second day of black powder season. So Brandy heard the guy shoot literally right near my house with a high power rifle. Okay.
Oh, the other part of that.
The second day of black powder season. Okay, I was over at the farm doing my thing, sitting in the stand. Everything's cool, and maybe about 600 or 700 yards to my rear, I hear, and you can tell the difference between a black powder rifle and a centerfire modern high power rifle. I mean, black powder rifles is more of a like it's like a boom, like somebody shooting off a little miniature cannon. It's like a
well, and two, most of the time, black powder projectiles, they're not breaking the sound barrier very much. I mean, the sound barrier around here is like 1,180 feet per second or so, and if you're like the common lauder shoots about 1,200 feet per second. So it's barely going to break that sound barrier.
And that's if the bullet travels a distance.
It'll barely make that sonic crack. But, 308 moving 2,600 feet per second, that's way over the sound barrier. It's going to make a lot of noise as it's traveling through the air, and it's going to break that sonic barrier and make all kinds of racket.
It is totally a different sound, and you can totally tell when you hear it.
Well, what about,
and sure enough, I heard... It sounded like somebody setting off a 30-06, and it's like that guy killed a deer with a modern gun during black powder season.
The other part of this gripe too, Eric's the only one that's been out black powder hunting, but you go to your lease, all right, there's several other guys on there. You go and you creep out to your stand, you go and sit in the stand, you're ready to hunt. And what do you hear? Guys on four-wheelers riding around, filling up feeders, filling up this. They got no respect for the season that you might want to hunt. Like, okay, well, we're not hunting black powder, so we're out here doing what we need to do. Like,
well, you got to do that to some degree.
Well, I know, but the thing is, like,
you got to get out there and check your cameras. You got to get, some people are filling up feeders and doing things like that.
But there's a pin in, pin out system. If they come up to that map and they see somebody's hunting, have a little bit of respect for the other guys. I mean, that's the least that you can do if you're hunting on a lease.
That's right.
I mean, if you don't hunt black powder, somebody else might be. Communicate. I mean, that's a legitimate gripe. You just probably ruined that guy's hunt because you're riding all over the place on four-wheelers making all kinds of rackets.
And look, the same thing goes for bow hunters. Like, I don't really hunt archery that much.
But are you going to go out there and disrespect someone else's space?
But I also understand that people are going out there and doing archery, so I try to be mindful of that. And look, our lease doesn't really have a problem with that. Like, our guys are really good about communicating. They're all a great bunch of guys, and they really are good dudes. And we don't really have that issue on the lease that I'm on. However, I can see where, as a universal issue, it would probably be a problem for some people.
WMAs are also that way. I've heard a ton of just gripe stories about WMAs and guys trying to hunt on them. I mean, you got a guy like, you're up in a stand or whatever, you picked a good spot, and you got a guy walking through the woods like 10 feet from you. It's like...
or a situation where you go into a location that you're used to hunting, and maybe you run a climber stand that you bring in, and a tree climbing stand, and you go to get in your favorite spot and somebody's in it. Oh, well, this is my spot. I was here first.
About 10 years ago.
You have to fight over...
I've been hunting this spot for 10 years.
Yeah, you have to fight over, premium locations and then deal with people trekking through your area when you're trying to hunt. It sucks. It is really hard, and finding hunting locations can be hard. That's not really what I wanted this gripe to turn into, but there are a lot of things related to hunting that are common gripes, and every time hunting season comes up, we like to talk about certain things. We always like to make a gripe around hunting season to just cover things that are on our mind. Black powder season, to me, is a very special time of year because it's the week that I get to go out in the woods and sneak around and hunt, and nobody else be out there with a gun blasting every 5 minutes. I mean, I'm telling you, opening day of rifle season here in Georgia, especially if you're near a WMA or if you're near a large piece of property where there's people hunting, it's gonna sound like Fallujah. Pow, pow! I mean, they're shooting left and right. Now they kill some deer. They kill everything that's brown.
Yeah. Well, my thing,
Open
like
day.
this year, like rifle season, I'm gonna use my 1895 guide gun with hybrid on it, iron sights, with hand loads, and I wouldn't mind maybe using like 303, maybe like jungle carbine or something like that. I mean, that'd be kind of fun.
Sure.
Hunting with not necessarily antiques, but milsurps. I mean, I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I still want to
Agreed.
kill a deer with a scope 300 blackout because I just want to see what that 110 Barnes will do. But
Agreed.
man, I swear, it's like every time I start going out rifle season, it's like you just don't see nothing.
It's hard.
Deer
man.
show up on the camera, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go out here, like nothing.
Yeah.
Bye.
I mean, for me, rifle season, I'm going to be running the Snyder because according to Georgia state law, it's not primitive enough, which is dumb. I ought to be able to take this Snyder out opening day of black powder. I mean, and the thing is,
Put that on a shirt. That's just
okay,
dumb.
if your average DNR guy walks up to you and you're in the woods and you're carrying that rifle, I don't care who you are, that's a primitive rifle. Like, yeah, it uses a cartridge, but it's pretty dang old school. Okay.
Now, so if you opened up the base of that brass, the primer pocket, to accept a 209, would it then be primitive enough?
I mean, it's silly because, an inline has to be primed from the rear and can be opened up and cleaned and manipulated from the rear of the gun. It's just the dumbest thing ever. And look, I'll tell you what a lot of it really does have to do with, and I know people are going to hate me for this. Please don't hate me, but just understand where I'm coming from. It's all big business, guys. Hunting is big business. And all these guys up at the Georgia legislature, when it comes, I mean, look, they get kickbacks from all the dang scope companies and the black powder rifle companies, and there's a lot of people that don't want that type of arrangement to be made. They don't want you to be able to go kill a deer with granddaddy's old trapdoor. They want you to go buy Traditions inline. They make it purposely hard because they want you to use modern stuff that you have to go buy. They don't want you to use what you've already got.
Yep.
And I hate to say that, but there is a lot of crooked, underhanded crap going on.
It happens all throughout the government, man.
Getting the rules changed has been really hard. Rick Ward down in Albany, our good buddy, the urban air gunner, he has been fighting really, really hard to get airgun hunting opened up for Georgia to allow us to be able to harvest deer with airgun hunting. Not only that, but actually having a airgun specific hunting season just for air gunners, which would be awesome.
They say that the air guns don't make enough power to kill a deer, to kill medium-sized game, but Rick's been like, we've got all this data on like the big bore Texan, the Air Force Air Guns Texan.
Yep.
And
we've killed hogs. We've killed deer over in Alabama where it is legal to.
It's got plenty of energy. I mean, guys will handgun hunt with revolvers that don't even make 800 foot-pounds of energy. People hunt with 10 millimeters that make 800 foot-pounds. The Texan is making over 800 foot-pounds.
Well, the lawmakers in Georgia told Rick that, we're going to have to conduct this really expensive study to determine whether
We've already done that for you. What are you talking about?
To determine whether or not air guns can be used for deer hunting in Georgia, we have to conduct this extensive study. And we have to take all these college-educated people out to witness a deer getting shot with an air gun to know if it's lethal or not.
Really?
But that's the hypocrisy that we deal with, okay? And it's the same reason that I guess getting back to it, it's the same reason I can't take a 120-year-old Martini Henry hunting during black powder season here in Georgia. I would love to see the rules get changed to allow for legitimate antique black powder rifles to be used for primitive hunting season because they are primitive weapons. They are primitive. So, anyway, that's my gripe. A couple of things there, but that is one of my gripes.
I'm gonna see if they'll open up a season for a rock with a tied to a stick. I don't know, that kind of thing.
If you did that, you'd still have people out there, cheating the system. I've heard people during bow season shooting guns and killing deer. It's like they just have no regard for what's right.
Oh man, hunting season's open. I'm going to hunt. I don't care.
It drives me nuts. But guys, hopefully you saw the humor in this video. We're not trying to poke at anybody too hard, but...
And the wild subject change.
And the wild subject change. I'm just gonna go ahead and change the subject just like that. But, look, we try not to be too hard on people, guys. But the thing is, look, if you want to hunt the inline, guys, go hunt with the inline. We're not telling you that's a big deal. Or if you're one of those jerks that hunts with a high-power rifle during muzzleloader season, guys, you're making hunters look bad. Don't do it. just don't do it. Wait another dang week.
Remember
How
karma.
hard is it to just wait?
Remember karma, guys.
Yeah, you know, and remember, guys, when you strap on a rifle, when you walk into the woods and you're going hunting, you're representing hunters. If somebody sees you, if they interact with you, you are representing the hunting community to everybody around you. All they're going to see is the one hunter that they've ever met, and if you are the only hunter they've ever met, they're going to think all the hunters are like that. So if you go through town with a deer on your hood of your truck and blood all over the place, and you, I don't know, using the wrong gun in the wrong season, or doing the wrong thing, or not, you know, not following the rules, you're going to make people think that all hunters are like that. And look, I'm not a FUD, guys, okay? I'm not saying that all I like to do is hunt black powder. I enjoy hunting with all different types of different firearms. You know, I love it. It's just great, you know. But the difference between a guy like me and, let's just say, a FUD, right, is that it's okay to take an old school German double and go on a nice pheasant hunt or something. I'm capable of doing that, but I'm also capable of taking a suppressor and a blackout and going and killing a deer too. So
that AR ain't a hunting rifle. You don't need an AR.
It totally is a rifle you can use for anything you want. If anything, the AR-15 is closer to the everyman's rifle that the black powder rifles originally were back in the day than any other rifle that's out there. So you want to talk about every man's gun, the everyday, common, everyday guy's gun, the AR is it. So if anything, the AR is closer to that for modern society than even our vintage primitive weapons. So that's why when I make this video, I want to explain to people that we have to remember where we came from. We have to honor these old primitive guns. You got to challenge yourself and get out there, because to know how good an AR really is, you still have to be able to give a nod to the classics. And then when you get behind that 6.5 Creedmoor and you're about to smoke a Boone and Crockett 170-inch spread deer at 500 yards, be happy that you can take that shot, and just take a little moment to remember those black powder guns that paved the way for you to take that shot. That's what primitive weapons is about, guys.
It's all about conservation and, you know, remembering your heritage, remembering the technology that came about back in the day, and that, like Eric said, that leads up to what we use today. I mean, there's guys that take deer out west, I mean, like 8,000, 9,000 yards. I mean, here in Georgia, it's like a 200-yard shot. It's like, oh man, that's a long-range shot right there, boy.
That's a long shot in Georgia. Yeah,
we're simpletons compared to some people.
We are. Well, the cool thing about your guide gun, with 200-yard shot, is totally doable.
I dialed that thing in with my 325 grain FTX hand loads, and I can aim at that 6-inch plate hanging from the rack from the top of the hill. It's 200 yards away, and I can hit that 6-inch plate with good, careful aim and shot placement, just by aiming just a teeny bit high.
Awesome.
You know, I mean, so I feel comfortable like taking 150 yard, maybe a 200-yard shot if it was a big enough deer. I mean, if it's a big enough deer and it fills in that aperture, it's like, oh.
That's right.
But I mean, come on, irons with a 45-70, yeah,
it's a lot of fun, guys. Don't forget, that's what black powder season is about tradition and heritage. And don't turn black powder into this workaround that you're going to try to come up with the latest and greatest, because that's not really what black powder is about. Black powder is about honoring tradition and using old school guns and getting out there and hunting. And guys, be sure to share it with our youth too. That's a big deal to me.
Absolutely.
Try to if you hunt with black powder and you enjoy it, take a kid out black powder hunting and get them exposed to it. I think you'll find that a lot of young folks will really enjoy it too. Guys, thanks for watching today's video. We hope we didn't go too far off on too many rants in this. We actually haven't done any gun gripes in a while. So there's
a lot to talk about.
Yeah, this is our first gun gripe in quite a while, so we're kind of getting back into cutting some more gripes for y'all. We hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much to all our Patreon supporters who support us monthly. Guys, if you purchase man cans to support the channel, thank you so much. You're awesome. You guys mean the world to us. Without our viewers' support, it would be very difficult for us to continue doing what we do. So thank you for considering your other viewers and supporting our channel. We have many more gun gripes on the way. Some hunting videos. All right, we've been out trying to film some hunting. It's been a lot of fun. We hope you guys are going to enjoy it. So let me know what you guys want to see in the way of hunting, and we'll do our best to accommodate it. Thanks very much. You guys have a great day. We'll see you next time.
I need to get that teleprompter fixed.
That's right.